The following contains adult language, themes, and content intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, welcome in, everybody. This is going to be a special one. This is going to be a good one. I can already tell because this is actually the first episode, believe it or not, that we are doing video. A lot of people asked for it. We never did it before. We were always just straight to Spotify, but now we're coming to you on YouTube, and actually the first time ever. I feel lucky that we're not in a club. We're actually in the home of the guest, which we'll get to in a second. You can already see him sitting there, big man himself. Everybody knows him. I don't even need to say his name, but this is going to be a good one tonight. New tis the season coming your way, coming to YouTube, coming to Spotify. This is going to be a good one. I'm really excited. So let's get underway. Here we go.
Grab your parasols. Shine golden slippers. Tis the season.
I am so excited. I'm underway. We usually write a script out. You know, I like to have a couple talking points, a couple things to plan, but I said I threw this away because tonight, a guy that really needs no introduction, a guy that can walk down the street and has probably more names than anybody I ever known. Cotton Candy, Michael Orlando, Little Mikey, Captain of Purple Magic, Mike Orlando Jr. Dude, I've been waiting to get you to do this for a while. I know everybody else has suggested you too. So thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you coming out and coming to my house and setting everything up and going out of your way to make this a good show.
Thanks. I appreciate it, man. I said thanks for being here. I should thank you for being here because we're actually in your house. You're the nicest dude. You actually invited me to your place because the club doesn't have air conditioning. I was like, man, I'm getting a special treatment from you. I never got that from anybody.
Well, I'm pretty special. I'll tell you one thing, though. This is going to be the best Fancy Brigade show ever. I don't know what they're going to do now. The Vikings, they really put the best performance on ever in the convention center last year. It did show one thing, though. I'll tell you what, this Tommy Doc is destructible. He got a fourth. I don't know what to do. Jackie Hattie, watch out, buddy. You might have to suit back up if, he fails one more year. It's going to be curtains for him.
Yeah, that's funny because I remember you actually busting chops last year at the pick night about Tommy Doc. If he won
Tommy
this year,
Doc was 2-0. Yeah, he almost could have went for the elusive three-peat. Tommy Doc could have went down in Mummer's history, but the Vikings weren't having it. So
no, they really weren't. That was a pretty good show too. I got to say, it was good. They came out hard. You could tell that they were not all about the three in a row. They definitely came out strong, and they were actually more classic than they've been in a long time, which I actually appreciate. I mean, I'm a little old school in that way. But
the energy was wonderful. Speaking of things, look at this one. The Downtowners, I'll tell you what, Stags, you got a gift. Because that was, I'll tell you what, we were bad this year. Magic was awful. I mean, I gotta really work on my dancing. It's really bad. This year, new choreographer. I'm looking forward to it. We're doing a new theme. We got Magic's on the rise. I mean, we can't go any more down. We'll be under the basement. So, you got to be equal opportunity. You got to give some, you got to take some. You know what I mean? Like, they got to take, look at this. We got 78 people and we got 6 on the floor. This is really a butcher job.
We got 2023 playing in the background. He's giving his commentary here. You can kind of see it behind me there. We got the Downtowners from 2023. Yeah,
this is the Downtowners. I don't know.
I actually didn't think Purple Magic was bad, to be honest with you. I thought you were pretty good. I mean, you had growth. I will say that from a production standpoint. I mean, look, from the first year was 2017, 2016. It was a different club on the floor from there. I'll give you that.
Well, the thing is, a lot of our kids are young, and they're getting older, and it's a process. When you start a new club, it's not easy, especially like, I think it's kind of crazy, like what goes on in the mum world. Like, whoever wins, everybody runs there. Yeah. I mean, it is kind of comical. You've been with one club for 10 years. That's your club. I mean, I don't care. Mm-hmm. People want to run to the Vikings. They want to run to the Stars. They go back to it's very it's unethical. I don't believe in that. I believe you're with a club. You're with a club, and you work hard to obtain a goal. Win, lose, or draw. That's your club.
I agree with you. I mean, we were talking when I was setting up, and we both kind of said we're not that old, but we're like old school mentality, just the way we were brought up, even in mums or just in life in general. But I do believe that, like, I get the impression like a lot of people don't really want to build a club anymore because it's easy to go somewhere where it's already going to be good and you're going to get your prize and all that kind of stuff, and they kind of throw in the towel. They give up a little bit.
It's kind of sad that hard work in this whole generation is gone. There's no more dust yourself off. They want to argue with each other. It's not right. But then again, I grew up with the mummers Nazi. My father thinks that, mummers are the know-all, be-all, say-all of life. He thinks that mummers are the greatest thing in the world, and if you don't like mummers, you probably can't come in his house.
I remember around convention center time, I was helping you guys out a little bit with some of the video stuff, and you were saying like he don't understand all that stuff. Like he's wood and screws and paint. He's not like a technology guy, and he was having a hard time understanding like the projectors and the screens and the content and all that kind of stuff. Like you were trying to explain on why you needed it for the show, and he was kind of like, I don't know.
Well, this year he's really having a heart attack, so.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, because you guys are kind of going pretty different for you.
We're going
guys,
pretty much all technology for
That's
us
good.
for the first time. I'm learning it a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you what, it's very hard. And one thing, no matter what you say about anybody, nobody does it like the Vikings. What they did the year with the spaceship,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that stuff you see in multi-million-dollar Disney things.
Yeah.
I think I tried to pitch this to a few people in California a few times to see if we could get like a full show. I kept telling them we're amateurs. The guy said, buddy, you're not amateurs. I said, we are amateurs. I make pizza. My father, is a carpenter. Guys that build like regular guys, stagehands, electricians. I think that's why I love it so much. That's what the beauty is. I mean, the fact that you could put on a show in 4 minutes and 30 seconds, tell a story, look so good, be so good, I think is a staple of something that everyone should be proud of. And if you look at the show over the last 10 years, how it has escalated and elevated in its game and its performance, between the costumes, between the special effects, the lightings, the screens. I mean, it's really something that is Philly's best kept secret.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, to be honest with you, there's a lot of, you know what I think it is too, because people that come into the city that don't know anything about it, it's easy to find the outside parade and the outside portion of the parade, I should say. And I think that sometimes they might think that that's only what the fancy brigades do. They go out on Broad Street and they might not know about the convention center. But I'll tell you what, when people do find out about it, or people that I've talked to that didn't know about it until a couple of years ago, they're really blown away. And a lot of people don't know that it's not hired people or it's not like professional people. Like I've known people that I've worked with or whoever, you may have even heard this too, that like they think we get paid to do that kind of stuff. They think that's like what we do. It's our job to put on that show. But I mean, like you said, you make pizza, there's carpenters. I mean, it's crazy how many people are skilled in what they do in their real life job that can translate to a production, a show like that. It's unbelievable. It blows me away.
I think it's absolutely amazing, and I'm very honored to be one of the 11 captains that are still standing.
And it's funny because Purple Magic is the youngest club right now, right? But
Yeah,
you're one of the longest captains at this point.
Yeah. When I started,
Isn't that funny?
yeah,
Okay.
it is actually pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Because when I started, I was like, not only was I the youngest captain, I was like one of the youngest captains by 15 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think Bobby's the oldest one now, Ranowski.
He might be. Yeah, I don't actually know that, but he might be. He's got a little gray in the beard now, so I think he might be.
Well, I went to school. I'll tell you what, Bobby is old.
That's funny. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, it's funny, man. Like I was doing the research for this the other day, and I came across that. I was like, they've only been around since 2017, but I'm like, but you've been captain every year, so because of that, like the amount of like Staggs retired now, somebody else, Michael Adams retired and everything like that. Yeah, so because of that,
Bobby Fitch retired.
right? So because I mean he had everybody beat by like 100,000 years, but I mean since when he was done, you're up there with actually Rocco Terzi is
Me, Rocco Terzi, I think. I think everybody else pretty much retired.
Yeah, that's
Except
funny.
Bobby from Golden Crown.
Yeah, that's funny to me to think about. Like the youngest captain is Rocco. The youngest club has one of the longest cap. It's pretty neat to think that. And I was actually surprised last year. I shouldn't say surprised. That sounds negative. It was cool to see. I knew you as like you joke around. You're a pretty vocal guy, but I came to the museum last year when you guys were practicing the Mummers Museum to help you film
Yeah,
for
I
the thing.
remember that.
Yeah, and that was the first time I actually like saw you be captain, like at a rehearsal, and you can you were pretty serious. Like you actually you weren't joking around. You were serious face. You were running through drill. I mean it's
pretty funny. I'm very even keel. Like I could be very serious and very funny. But, we're like, I think the mummers are not understanding all we do. And I think it's a very misunderstood tradition. I think the fact of how many kids we keep out of the streets, how many kids we give a meaning in life to do something and something to be proud of. And I think stuff like that is what keeps me going. I have a lot of kids from 12 to 19.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're getting a little older this year. They're like 18 to 21, 22. You know, they're growing. And to see all them growing together and supporting each other and, you know, like, let's be honest, my finishes haven't been great. I got 4 last and one before last. So the fact that they're still all with me just shows how much they do care and how much they are committed to, you know, making Magic better and, you know, solidifying us over the next, you know, 10, 20 years to become a powerhouse in the future.
Yeah, it's cool to think that, because I mean, by the time that they're seasoned vets, they've been doing it for a long time and they got experience, they're going to be older. Like, you could be building something really, really strong. And I know, like, you know, not to break balls, but some people might laugh at that thinking like Magic, right? But 5 years down the road, who knows? I mean, they get their friends involved, they get family involved, they stay involved. There's more people, you get better prizes, more people join, you get more money.
I mean, I think it's funny you say that, because there's a lot of clubs, like let's take the Shooting Stars, for example. The Shooting Stars were in dire needs. They were in dire needs. They almost folded. They were god-awful. Mickey pulled them out of the fire, and they're unbelievable now, and they've been a powerhouse for the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings were fist-fighting each other when they crashed everything. Everything came together. Star Wars was a complete mess. They came back years to come. They came out, I tell my father all the time, they came out with Cyborg Nation. I don't know if you remember that year.
Yeah.
They came out with Cyborg Nation. They put the choreographer as the captain, and the show was unbelievable. What Butchie did with one float will never be seen again. He had one float, finished third, had absolutely no costumes, had one float, and it was a fabulous show. And whenever I'm down and I feel like, you know, this is enough, what am I doing this for? I can't compete. I think of all that. I think of how hard these people come, and you know, the Saturnalians. I go up there. Everybody knows I'm real good friends with Jackie Hattie. I do the mum tea with him. Me and him are kind of heading that. And bro, he told me I was in college. He goes, and they called me and we're like, yo, you're the captain. He started laughing. He said, the captain. He said, we got 6 people. You know, they marched up, Guido, a couple other guys, you know, they marched up with 25 people. Listen, it is what it is. Everybody's been bad times. The Avenuers, you know, we share the garage when Magic was around the first time in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I'll never forget that. Dario Sanchez, who was recently inducted to the Hall of Fame, that man airbrushed in there for 4 months at a time. Like, people don't see what it takes to get there. They don't remember when the Vikings were down and out, they ran bingos, they hustled. Butch, he hustled. He you know, put his club, whatever he had to do. You know, how many times do these captains put money out of pocket nobody knows about? How many things are done for mummery? How many times do you think leaders of these clubs put money into these productions, put time, put their family aside? You know, I'm sure I'm not the only person that did it because I'm a small club. I'm sure every club did it. I watched every guy do it. I watch guys go in their pocket numerous times. Oh, 300, 400. Yeah, it don't sound like a lot. Put up 435 times a year. It's a lot of money. And then, you know, everybody in this has a family, has a wife, has children. You know, it's hard to tell your wife you took out $12,000 because you bought mummer suits. I mean, she don't really want to hear that sometimes, but it's a reality of it. And, you know, it's for the love. And I think that's why the product is so good, because so many people care. So many people care, and the amount of talent in these shows is on a professional level, and I'll say that without embarrassment. I think it's unbelievable.
No, I agree with you, and I think that every club, no matter what prize they got, was effective to some degree. There's something that was good or well done, or that a judge would comment on in every show, 1 to 11. Some people might laugh at me for that, but I firmly believe that. I mean, I went to school. I work in production. I'm in that life, and I see something out of every show, no matter what. That is effective. You know, whether it's, you know, kind of recycled from a past show or kind of stolen or tweaked or whatever you want to call it from, you know, picked from another show from another year, whatever, or original idea somebody thought of, or it's from whatever. Somebody does something effective on every level. Magic up to first prize. To me, it doesn't matter. And anybody that can't, admit that or doesn't think that, to me is they don't have the right mindset. They got blinders on or something like that. Because if you can't admit that every club is good or puts their best foot forward or has something positive in their show, I don't like when people knock when clubs got a certain prize either. Like especially if a lower club pops up in the top like 1, 2, or 3, because there's always like the naysayers, oh, they didn't deserve this or they shouldn't have got that. Maybe that's what you think, but I mean, you don't judge the parade, so your opinion doesn't really matter.
I mean, that's said anything in life.
Well, sure.
A guy wins the Olympics. Oh, he didn't swim fast, or he got a guy by a strike. Like, there's always some excuses. I think that more than anything, I mean, this year obviously there was a clear winner,
Sure.
but there's years there isn't a clear winner in my eyes, and I think it could be. Me and my father talk about this all the time because my father thinks, there's no value of a point. And I agree with him. And when it comes to a value of a point, it's an opinion. If me and you go to dinner tonight, you might get a steak and I might get a chicken. Is steak better than chicken? Well, it depends on who you ask. Just because one costs more or one's better, don't mean it's better to you.
Right.
If me and you go out and we buy a suit to go to a wedding, I might buy a black tie, you might buy an orange tie. Does that make an orange tie ugly? It's an opinion. And the sooner we realize everyone has an opinion, the opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
Some people just feel the need to always say theirs. And, maybe it's not really needed sometimes.
Yeah, no, it isn't. But and with that too, if there's anybody I want to ask this to, it would be you, because I know you're going to shoot straight. They changed the way that it's judged this year, where now all the judges judge every category. Do you think that's good, bad, and different?
I think they've been doing that forever.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell me that, because I'll tell you one thing. My candy year, I finished last. My suits were the nicest on the street, and I'll say that without prejudice, and I don't really care what anybody says.
Mm-hmm.
My suits were the nicest. When you walked in the convention center and you see my suits were the nicest suits in the convention center, hands down. And that's a lot of thanks to Jimmy May, because Jimmy May made an unbelievable suit. And
you got last prize suit or last prize?
I got last prize everything because they said I was making fun of black people with Oompa Loompas. Meanwhile, the 3 children that they were making fun of are African American.
Really?
Yeah. So it kind of caused a little problem within my club with the parents, but it was all, it is what it is. People have the right to their opinion, and people don't know.
Sure.
And I don't get mad over things like that. It is what it is. But I'm not mad. But just like one year, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but Butchie got a 0.
No, I didn't know that.
Butchie got a 0 in captain.
Really?
I mean, how could you get a 0?
I didn't even know you were allowed to do that. I thought there's a minimum.
No person that should ever walk up and get a 0.
I agree with that.
I mean, there has to be something for putting a suit on and walking out there. It's like
I agree.
It's
with
like
that.
an SAT. When you sign your name, you get 400 points. The same thing.
Right. Like we'll take the simplest example. You do an army theme. You could go to the Halloween store and get an army costume and walk out on the floor and just stand there. You got to get some point. I mean, you right. I mean,
you're in the army.
Yeah. I mean, you could get last, but you're not. You can't. I don't get that either. 0. What theme was that for? You know what it was?
What was it? Funky Tail.
Funky Tail?
I'm not sure.
That was crazy.
I know Davey Mo got the same thing. Yeah. Davey Mo got a 0 as well, too.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we got Davey Mo and him in the same year got a 0, SK.
Not the same year. Different years.
Different year. Oh, yeah, because they weren't captains at the same time. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's funny.
1 year.
1 year.
87. Yeah.
I don't agree with that. Isn't there, I could be wrong, but there's a minimum now, right? You can't get a 0 anymore, I don't think.
No, you can.
You can still?
Yeah, we just don't see it anymore. But I think it's comical. Like, I mean, to give anyone a 0. Like, I'm a competitor. I want to win, but I want to win the right way. Like,
sure.
Just like, I mean, I think it's comical. Like the year they disqualified Satin Slipper. Like, I mean, that was just a complete and utter joke.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care who says I say it or not.
Sure.
I think it's just you can't disqualify anybody, especially now with all the safety things and this and that. But the first thing we have to understand is we don't want anybody getting hurt.
Right.
So if you're going to disqualify a club, you're an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
You're an asshole because ain't nobody disqualifying me, and I'll say that to anybody on the association board. I'm not getting disqualified.
You think it's fair to Lose points?
No, because like at the end of the day, we're all in competition,
Right.
but we're all friends. We're not children. Do you want to win a trophy because the other guy fell down?
Right. No, I hear you.
I want to win because I'm the winner.
Well, let me ask you this again, because I know you're a straight shooter. Straight in both ways. Who do you think pushes the issue of enforcing disqualification? The actual rules committee or the other clubs?
I don't think neither. What I think it is people that it's not so much our people. Like you get somebody that's a line judge that don't really understand mummers.
Yeah.
So like the guy thinks it's like when you go in the casino, the security guard thinks he's RoboCop.
Yeah.
He's telling you don't do this, don't do that. Buddy, sit down, shut up, and collect your check. It's the same thing. Sit down, watch the line. Nobody's deliberately doing anything to get an edge. Let's let that go.
Right.
Let's let it go. Let the show go on. And plus now, bro, things are so big. The props are so big and so massive to move. Mm-hmm. Like, I know from Candy Year. Candy Year, we built a set my father built a set that was, bar none, absolutely beautiful.
It was cool. That was a good.
The only problem was that we couldn't move it. It was supposed to go up. It's hard when you don't have enough people. And you know what? Thanks some of the bigger clubs, the Stars, the Avenuers, the Downtowners, the Vikings, all them people. They sent me people. The Sats. Every single club sent me people. Mm-hmm. And I'm very grateful for that.
Sure.
But them guys don't practice with it. So they're doing the best they can. You can't get mad at anybody. You built something too big. It didn't work. I'm a big believer of getting over it.
Yeah.
Like you can't, if everything you do upsets you or you're mad about, listen, you're gonna lose your mind. You're gonna really lose it.
Yeah. By the way, too, for anybody that can't see him, we got an audience of one over here. Mike Orlando Sr. is here, so.
Yeah, that's
He's a good dude.
back commentary.
Yeah.
Also known as the Mummers Knots.
The history book back there. For anything we're not sure of, he's filling in the gaps over there.
Yeah,
that's what he's here for. What do you think of this one? South Philly Vikings?
This was the best one.
You said you liked them, right? It was good this year?
It was meanwhile, Maggie Ken, I think she likes me. Maggie, I'm not available, but, she did make me the cover photo. I seen that.
There you go. There you go.
I think it's the body.
I think that's what it is.
I've been really working out lately.
Yeah. We got the wide lens on there. So
yeah. Good thing she's married. I'm getting married too soon. So
yeah. Well, hey,
I don't want her to snatch me up.
I hear you.
I've been looking good lately. I would have shaved if I knew she was going to watch the podcast.
So let me ask you this: you were talking earlier a little bit ago. You have a young club and all that, but you also mentioned the prize history so far maybe not be the best, right? They stick with you. You said they hang in there with you and all that kind of stuff. And it's one thing throughout the year, but how does it? I'm assuming you probably deliver the prize on New Year's. Does that impact you at all? Like, do you have to feel like you have to soften the blow? Do they not even really care? Like, what's that moment?
What
like?
happens is, it's funny you just said that because with my father, the Root, he wants to kill me. So when if you're bad, it's one of them things
Sure.
Like, so when I go in the convention center, bro, and I see like a show like this getting ready to come on, and then I look at my floats and I look at 35 little girls, 18 to 25, and I'm like, you know what, guys, listen. And the other thing is, people don't understand. Like, my club dances. They're dancers.
Right.
So they're used to winning in these competitions. Like, they're going to cheerleading competitions. They're banging ones, twos. They get a third. They're like crying. So they think, like, the one girl came up to me New Year's night and thought I was mad at her because, she thinks that we didn't do good because her group didn't do well. And I tried to explain to her. I said, sweetheart, I'm never mad at you. And she's like, Captain Mike, but, we tried our best. We really did. And I said, you know what? I said, and you're going to try your best next year. I said, you know what? It has nothing to do with you. I said, this is a lot of components. It's not just dancing. I said, there's floats, it's people, it's production, it's money, it's a lot. So I told him the truth. Like, before we leave, like, I told him, like, listen, don't think you're going to win. And he's like, you can't say that. Like, you have to say that because I don't want these kids to get discouraged and quit.
Sure.
So every year I try to make sure that I'm not embarrassing. Like, I make sure I put nice suits on. I make sure we have beautiful scenery. I do what I can. Now this year I'm going a little out of the box, and I'm really shooting to be in the middle of the pack, like an 8 and up, hopefully. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. I mean, I'll try again next year. But to keep doing the same thing and thinking something's going to change is insane. So what I'm doing this year is revamping it. We switched a lot of things around. I changed my choreographer, and I'll see how it goes.
That's good. No, that's good because that's a mentality that a lot of people don't have. There's a lot of, I mean, I've even been part of it myself, like for in past years, where you get, even if it's a new group of people that's running the show, whatever it is, you try exactly the same thing and expect a different result. And I can't stand that. And one of the biggest things that annoys me is when people have the mentality that you got ripped off. I hate that. I mean, every once in a while that might be your personal opinion, but if you take the approach like, we just got ripped off, we'll try again next year and do the same thing. We got ripped off, we'll try. You can't get ripped off 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in a row. Like you're doing something wrong if you're not.
Like, I gotta be honest with you. Like going back, a lot of clubs have wonderful performances that I thought was good. I'll tell you what, the year the Downtowners did Alice in Wonderland, I thought that was absolutely beautiful. I thought if that would have won, I wouldn't have said, they didn't deserve to win. I don't even remember who won that year. Do you remember?
2014. The Stars, the Atlantis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that did not deserve to win. I'm just saying there's been a few years where I think, not to say someone got robbed, but I think if it went the other way, nobody would have been upset.
Right. I agree with you. I do. I mean, I don't, how do I say this? I know like some people are in this school of thought, because I've heard this before. Like, I don't necessarily believe it. I think you'll agree with me, but like some people think like if you're in the top 3, you could have won. You were in the conversation to win. It could have went any way. I don't necessarily agree with that.
I don't really agree with that either.
Yeah,
because I'll tell you what, you could have been the top 3 this year, and if you beat this show, you had to know something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think this year though was an overwhelming winner. I think when the Saturn Aliens did Jungle was an overwhelming like. Sure. I think there's a few performances that stood out over Mummer's history that are just over. Like even when I'm in there, like being a Mummer for 30 plus years, like when I walk in, I'm like, wow, they're gonna win. Like you have a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and don't get me wrong, bro. A lot of the clubs, it is close, bro. Everybody's good.
Sure.
It's not, 10 years ago where they're like, this guy can't compete. This guy's horrible. There hasn't been a show other than my clown year 2 years ago. Wow, that I fast forward. I fast forward myself. I'm like, oh man, this is on again. Like, sometimes you have them years, bro. Everybody does.
Now, why do you think? Just out of curiosity, like why that year? You guys were kind of in the swing for a few years at that point, and honestly, I agree it wasn't the best team. I think you guys have been better before that, and you were better the years after that. What happened with that year?
So that was the year we tried to buy the garage. So we spent a ton of money on getting the garage, and then we said, you know what, we'll go up with clowns, we'll cut the budget, we won't spend much money, this, that, and it kind of it never came to be what it was supposed to be. And then it was like, put this guy in a suit. This guy wants to be here. It just blew up in my face. It was just one of them shows, like we thought it was going to be something. Then the choreographer that I had got pregnant. She was 8.5 months pregnant, having complications. I finished the drill myself, and I'm no Fred Astaire. You know what I mean? So it was like, what do we do here? Hop. You know what I mean? They're like, what? I'm like, just hop it. They're like, again? I'm like, yeah. Oh, man. Then I'm like, when you sit at the front and you're looking at it, I'm like sitting here like this. I'm like, wow, this is bad. But I don't want to tell nobody. Then my dad's like, don't look bad. My dad's like optimistic. I have to tell him the truth. I'm like, Dad, we stink. And he's just like, nah, you can't say it. Well, it could go. No, it can't go any way but last. This is awful.
But you know what, though? That's probably why you get better. I mean, if you have that, if you're that straight of a shooter, I mean, it's easy.
Well, I'm really hard on myself. I don't blame anybody else because my first year as captain, I made the ultimate mistake. I let everybody tell me what to do. Oh, we should do this. Oh, yeah, do that. You're going to take. Well, nobody ever finished it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I took the mentality on my second year when we did the Jungle. I said, I'm making all the decisions. That's it. Whatever happens, happens. And I got to be honest with you, that was one of my best performances.
It was. That was good. That and the Candy. I like them too.
And the Candy.
Were they back to back? Were they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Storm year, I tried something and it just, oh man. See, the other thing is like, my father, as far as like I came from Clearmore, we didn't really do the technology. Right. So as I'm trying to learn it, you got to understand, like I'm learning on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So when it falls, it's like, oh shit, this looks god awful. And I'm just like, oh man. And then I walk in there and I'm like, oh, that idea didn't work. Fuck. Like, what am I going to do now? But like, I got 4 days to the parade. I finally got it up. It was like Candy Year when I did the screen with the elevator and the like, it wasn't supposed to look like that.
Oh, no?
No. And then when I got there, the guy's like, New Year's Eve, he's like, oh yeah, look at this. I'm like, bro, it looks like shit. I just gave you 4,000. He's like, what? Oh, you don't like it? No, I'm pulling air, you asshole. But, like, at that point, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's December 31st, and the guy wants to get paid. Like, I want to choke him, but, it is what it is.
Yeah. So what was that? That was from the movie with Johnny Depp, right? He had like a glass elevator or something. That was what it was supposed to be, right?
Yeah, but it looked like shit. And then the Chocolate River, they were supposed to come down, and it was supposed to look like they were sliding in tubes on and it just looked like a ball of shit was coming down on the screen. I paid all that money for nothing.
Yeah, but you learn though, at least, you know what I mean? You might have took a little bit of a hit that
took a
year.
Little bit of a hit, and I moved on. We built things a little too heavy. We couldn't get it up there. The lighting was bad. That's the other thing, bro. This whole lighting package, I think it's great if you know how to use it.
Okay.
I'm one of the people that admit when I don't know how to use something.
Sure.
Nobody really knows how to use it but the Vikings. Nobody will ever say that this guy's doing this guy's doing it. They're not using it right. I don't care what anybody says. No one knows how to use it but the Vikings. And if anybody disagrees with me, they can talk to me and I'll tell them they're an asshole.
There you go. Comment in the section. Do you agree with them or do you not agree with them? I agree with you. Anybody that passes blame to any certain extent is either a little jealous or a little PO'd that they didn't use it the right way or they didn't think of that. I mean, every once in a while you may make a case that for something else, but usually it's user error.
Oh my God, that's why when people tell me money, it's money, they got more money. Listen, I've been clubs. I remember when the Stars won, they didn't have any goddamn money. They did Scotland. They came out with kilts. Mm-hmm. They were saving money this year. The show was beautiful and they won. So you're telling me that was a money year?
Right.
The year that they did Apocalypse 2010 when Petey was captain.
Yeah.
You're telling me that was money? Petey looked unbelievable. They spray painted milk cartons. Right. That's an idea that you can't teach that. Mm-hmm. That's something that somebody knows.
Right.
You understand that? That's a creative side that can't be taught.
Right.
And that's what makes the parade so unique and so competitive. Like, I got to be honest with you, another one of my favorite shows, but I just thought the beginning was god-awful, was when the Jokers did the puppets, the marionettes with David.
Yeah, a couple years ago, yeah.
The beginning was just so god-awful that the finale couldn't recoup it. That show was unbelievable, but it just took 2 minutes to get to the show. I think if that show would have went a little faster in the beginning, I think you might have a different winner. I don't know, but that was a wonderful show.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any merit though to like a theatrical opening like that? Like, do you think it worked? It was just too long, or you would have scrapped that whole?
I think that the opening was wonderful. Mm-hmm. I think it just took too long.
Took too long to get into it. Yeah, I can see that because it was a pretty big portion of the show, and then they went.
Well, it's not that they got so many
while.
people.
Yeah.
It looked unbelievable. When they came out in them boxes and all, I was like, wow. I told my father, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
David's suit was very nice.
It was, and actually, it was pretty cool how it was built, like how they got it on in one piece and all. But it didn't really look like it was one piece when it was on. It was a pretty cool effect. I mean, that's a good example of a club that had a couple rough years, but then all of a sudden, boom, third prize last year, like up out of nowhere. And I know that they were doing a lot of work on again, just from talking to a couple people in the Jokers. They did a lot of work themselves, and they do.
All good people, bro. They stick together.
They are.
And bro, at the end of the day, listen, the parade's one day a year. Mm-hmm. People don't understand. This is a 365-day commitment. You're having fun. We have Magic Weekend. We don't go. We choose to do a weekend where we just have fun. We rent a hotel room. We go down. We have fun. Like there's a lot that goes on to it to keep a club together. Mm-hmm. And I think that needs to be more highlighted this year. And I'll tell you what, I think John Best did a fabulous job producing the numbers. I think I don't care what anybody says, whether we hire him or not. That's really not my decision. What he did will forever change the parade. How he took so much time and so much detail. Now, do I think the parade was like a little too long? It was a little too much, maybe. But the way he did it was 1,000,000% professional. And I talked to John multiple times. I think John's a great guy.
He is a really nice guy, and he was very, from the experience like of working with him and everything. I'm sure you the same thing. He was very. You could tell he wasn't just doing it for a job.
Yeah.
He was really learning the culture. He was learning.
Yeah, him and
like
that guy Charlie. I don't know his last name.
He was really,
Charlie was very into it, on top of things, making things. I like to thank both of them guys personally, because what they did for the Mummers together to take a nice, whether we use them again or not, or how much the involvement, that's not really my call. But the stepping stone they gave us will forever be appreciated.
Yeah, I agree with that. Whatever capacity they're ever in moving forward, if nothing else, it was a great relationship to make with those guys, and to kind of set it in the right direction. Because you may have been even Mike Senior, he might have said the same thing. Like, how many years did people inside the Mummer say that kind of stuff should have been on TV? Like, we should be showing the behind the scenes stuff. We should be showing all that stuff that nobody knows about. Because every year, I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with, and I think it's great that every year they highlight, that there's fathers and sons and family, but everybody knows that at this point. That's the one thing they focus on every single year, and for me, like, I'm a father or son that has done it all my life, but I'm sick of hearing that one story. There's like 1,000 other things that goes on. People that put out their own money, people that front things, people that make things themselves, people that don't have any outside help whatsoever in a club, do everything themselves. Like, nobody knows that stuff. Nobody knows how much money it costs to use the convention center or whatever. I mean, we get comments sometimes, and I'm not judging anybody. People just don't know outside the community that, I think that the New Year's broadcast should have been like this, or you should have did this different, or I wish it was back on the street, or it should be this. A lot of people have opinions, but I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the money just doesn't come out of thin air.
Like, I got to tell you one thing about opinions. I can't stand them, because I know everybody. I'll speak for every captain right now. You have that one asshole in your club that didn't show up all day. He comes in moving day. You put everything up, and he goes, I think this should have been there. They don't do that in my club, because I'll throw a hammer at your forehead, because I can't stand that. Every club has that one asshole that'll say, like the Sats. The Guido guy busts his ass every day in there. Coming and go, I think they should have been on that side. Well, nobody really gives a shit what you think, you asshole. Go pay your $3,000 and shut the fuck up. That's what I tell them people. And I think more of that needs to be done, because, I mean, it's really brutal, bro. And plus, not to mention, like you said, none of us get paid.
Right.
So guys working 30 hours a week sweating in the garage. And let's be honest, bro, you've been in the garage. They're not exactly Rolls Royces.
Right.
You're lucky if you get heat, you cross your fingers. If you got a toilet, you better do a cartwheel.
Yeah.
I've been in a lot of garages. You couldn't even wash the paintbrush. You had to dip them in the toilet, smack them on the thing. And,
using a bucket to.
Yeah, you're using a bucket with toilet water, and it happens.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
The official vodka of Mummers Row Philly Tea.
It's not. I agree with you. Like, it's funny. Like, people will come, like I was just saying, they'll come from their regular job, full 8, 9, 10-hour shift, week between Christmas and New Year's, and they'll drive right to the convention center, park, come in there, and they're there till they're shutting the lights off and forcing them out.
How many guys call out that week and don't get paid? Union guys, guys don't have vacation.
Mm-hmm.
People that it's the amount of man hours that it takes to put on a show is never recognized. And them people that have been putting them shows on behind the scenes for years have been shit on by their own clubs, by their own people. Look, bro, I'll tell you one thing. People don't understand how much it takes to put on a show. I watched with, a lot of people don't know her, but Karen Keller. What she did last year to help put this show on and move it forward was nothing short of amazing. And all she is somebody's wife. Yeah. I mean, this lady took something that she had no business being in and took it upon herself to help, because she knew the passion that her husband had.
Sure.
Like, you can't make that stuff up.
No.
You can't buy that. There's no amount of money that could buy that.
Yeah, and it's pretty hard to grow that from people that didn't come from the life, like didn't grow up in it and stuff like that. But I honestly, I think the mentality that you have with your club, the approach that you take with the young guys and the young girls and stuff that you have in your club, you're gonna, I think, grow that, and people can laugh at me or whatever, but I think you have a better chance of growing that strong mom mentality in them than a lot of other people do, because you're honest, you'll be willing to change, you'll admit when you're wrong. I don't know every captain, I don't know every member of every club. There's a lot of people that cannot put an ego aside can't take blame, can't whatever. You get a bad prize, it's this guy's fault. And listen, that's been for years. I'm not blaming anybody that's in any current position right now, but you seem from what you say like you are good at not doing that, and I know that probably goes.
Well, Mike, you know what's funny? Me and my father argue about this because I have a lot of young kids, and when they have an idea, he basically tells them he don't want to hear it, and I say, Dad, you can't do that,
right?
And he says, I'm not. Listen, it's not about the 12-year-old. Listen, you could walk out things in life. You could be in a place you don't know what somebody knows. You don't know what somebody else is thinking. It don't cost anything. It don't hurt me to listen to what they're saying. So my son had one of the best ideas. This theme is my son's that's coming up.
The one that's coming up.
Yeah, and he's 14 years old. So with that being said, it came from like video games and stuff.
Okay.
So am I right or wrong, or I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Sure.
But to completely discard these younger kids, let's just be honest, bro. They're smarter than us when it comes to technology and building and computers. I can't order nothing online. I don't know how. I don't even know how to type my credit card in. I type one letter at a time. It's the world's changing. And if us as captains and the older regime of these clubs don't understand that these kids aren't the same as we were, and they're not going to do what they're told, they're rebels, then you know what? You're going to have it's going to be very hard to hold the club together.
No, I agree with that. And I think, and again, I think it's great to listen to the older guys, or at least hear them out, because they're the ones that build it. They're the ones that got everybody where they're at. But I think it's kind of a give and take. Like it can't be all one way or the other.
These old guys also think it's 1987.
Yeah.
Look at the Spartans, bro. The Spartans had made massive strides. They were a club that, whatever happened in their other club, they spun off. They started their own club. And, I think Pat did a great job with them kids.
Yeah, I think he did too. And he's a good dude too. He's a good
guy. Yeah, and he's making it, he's picking themes that are around women, because he has mostly women. Right. I think he's doing a real good job. I actually got to be honest with you. I think their show was fabulous this year.
Yeah, the Gypsies.
Yeah, I think it was really good. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, when you say somebody deserves a prize or not, I'm never going to say, they got robbed.
Right.
But I wouldn't have been upset if they finished third or fourth. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I
mean, so let me ask you this. Like, I think there's, from what you're saying, from what I'm hearing, even from what you're seeing in the shows, I think there is a lot of growth coming from, personally, from Magic. How far off do you think the growth is? Like, what do you think the trajectory is to the top half? Let's say
I'm like 7-8 years away.
Yeah, but that's a realistic answer.
I think I'm 7-8 years away. I think hopefully I'll be done being captain, and either my son or my daughter will be captain. And well, let's be honest, I'm not a good dancer. I'm not a great performer. I'm great behind the scenes. I'm great at getting it there. But the only reason I haven't stepped down yet is no other than my daughter's too young, and she's not ready. She's not ready to be a captain. She has more important things in her life. She just, thank God, went to college. So I don't want to put any more pressure on her. I want all the pressure to be on me. Right. So that's also why I picked this theme, because it's a way I can dance, get in there, and not do too much. Is
she involved in kind of like some of the duties that
my daughter's involved in everything?
Yeah,
she absolutely loves mummers.
Do you have a co-captain? Is she the co-captain?
Yes.
Oh, she is. Okay, so she wants to do that.
Yeah, my cousin Tommy, my fiance, my father, my brother's in it.
Nice.
Jared. My mother helps me, even though she just yells at me all the time.
So after she's done the few years in college, you're out.
I'm done, buddy.
That's it?
Yes.
That's good though, because I think it's good to know when you're done. You know what I mean? Like people that go over, it's like a Brett Favre situation. Just know when you're done. You were good when you were there. It's time to be done. Move aside.
I think certain things, and I'll tell you another thing. A lot of people ain't going to like this opinion, but the women are better performers than the men. It's just a fact. They dance better than us. They move better than us. They're more competitive than us. Women are very bitchy people. They want to win. They'll scratch your eyes out. A man, whatever. Like, they want to win, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same. Women are really, really at it. And their bodies are just built better. They dance much better than us. They move better than us. They transitions better. I think that's also why a lot of the women-dominated clubs are winning.
I agree with
I mean,
you.
the Sats couldn't buy a win. They couldn't win for 60 years. They had women, now they won. I mean, there's something to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree
The
with you.
Stars are on a massive drought. I mean, they do the same thing for the last 15 years. They come out, they dress 9 million people, they have 1 million floats, and, they look gorgeous. I think the Avenors are really up and coming. They have a lot of energy in their drills. Bobby really has the club, hitting on all cylinders. But there's another club where we talked about clubs that were desperate. That club wasn't doing good 15 years ago.
Sure.
His father kept the club together for years. Him, Dario, a couple older guys that own the club, they kept it together, and they made progress. Chinese year, they popped a 4. So you have to look at all that. When you make a statement and you don't know the history is what I don't like in Mummers. Like, people make a statement like, oh, yeah, you suck. You sucked. You just weren't there. 15 years ago, your club blew. But nobody wants to hear that. They just look at you like you're nuts.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you.
Every club. How about when the Jokers were running off ones?
Right.
People forget that?
Yeah.
98, they walked in the convention center. They looked indestructible.
Yeah.
Freddie Keller won with Space.
Mm-hmm.
They came back with Dr.
Monroe. Yeah.
Dr. Monroe, I thought was not that good because they ripped their costumes off in front of everybody, but it won. I'm not saying it was bad, but I didn't think it should have won.
Right.
I mean, you literally threw your costumes in front of the judges. They liked it. That, once again, it's a matter of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was horrible. I didn't think the show was bad. I thought that particular part where they literally took their suits off, threw them transition, another guy came and picked it up. I mean, whatever, but they won. Yeah. More power to them.
Mm-hmm. And maybe a different year that doesn't win, but that year that was...
Right. I thought Clash of the Titans with Bad News was great. I thought them suits were wonderful. Mm-hmm. I loved the Shield work in the beginning. They were all in tune. The suits were beautiful. His back piece was nice. I mean, there's been a lot of memorable performances.
Yeah, there has. And do you think there's any, I know they vote on it every year, but do you think there's any chance or any merit at all to going back outside at all?
I think there's no shot ever.
No?
I think the way the parade is with marshals and these young kids, I just don't think it would ever make it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's I don't, maybe it's not always the convention center. I don't know. Like that remains to be seen, but I don't know that it goes back outside because I think we're at the era now. I mean, it's been in the convention center since '98, so we're at the point now, which is kind of funny to think, like, because we're at a certain age where,
it's 25 years now.
Yeah, like we remember it being out on the street, right? But like, there's kids that have grown up their entire life, and now we're in an adult suit that don't even know what it's like to be outside.
That's their tradition.
Yeah, that's right.
When you tell them outside, they look at you like you're crazy.
I know. Yeah, so to do that,
I'll tell you what, my kids couldn't go outside. They would look at me like I'm nuts. I told them they got to freeze, they got to turn the lights, they can't sit down, they can't eat in between shows. They would look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like that would be like taking the way we grew up and shifting it to something else. You know, which I know did happen with the convention center, and a lot of people were probably against that. But we're beyond it now, and I think it's too. I mean, maybe you switch. The only way you could switch it, again, I guess, is what I'm saying, is if you made it better than what it is right now.
Well, see, another thing, like with all that, is the way everything was built is different now. Things are built, facades on the front, on this. You can't push them all the way up the street. You don't have the people. Who wants to do that?
Right.
Nobody could do that anymore.
We talked about this on one of the other episodes, but a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the marshals are from other clubs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So if you went out on the street and you divided all them up to your each individual club, there's no way that marshals or stagehands, whatever you want to call them,
I think there's 4 clubs that will make it more than 5 years.
I think that's a fair assessment.
That's a fair 4 to 5 clubs left. And I mean, I don't want to sound like, not that I would ever give up, but we'd be done.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I could push stuff from Broad and Oregon.
Yeah.
And maybe I could push it, but it's not going to be nothing that I have in the convention center.
Right.
And I think you would see that. I think you would see that through all the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the clubs would feel that. Even some of these bigger clubs, like the Vikings, they got people, bro. But, start pushing stuff from Broad and Oregon and see how much you lose people, You start losing people at Snyder. You start losing people at Walnut. Like, who's got to go to the bathroom? Who's not here? Who's tired?
Yeah.
And especially if you get like a 22-degree day.
Yeah, like 2018, imagine being outside.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say. We're like, everything, if it's 75 out, I'm sure you get 2 million people to push it. You go to Labor Ready, hire people, it don't matter.
Sure. I mean, the one thing that I'll never move away from is the fact that it's not weather permitted anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? That's,
and then you're going to see a lot of you won't be able to use screens because you can use them.
Right.
But what if they freeze up?
well, yeah,
Now-
which is possible. And then you got to run
taking
generate.
a chance
Yeah,
of that. Then, listen, let's be honest. They're a lot of money.
they are.
What if you hit a pothole and all the screens go?
Mm-hmm.
You're not hitting a pothole in the convention center.
Right. And you have floor power. You don't have to run generators to commit. You can't even run generators in the commit. Can you run?
You're not allowed to.
Yeah, I don't think so. So which doesn't matter because you're plugged into the power.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think the modern technology that is way too incorporated into the shows to shift away from any scenario that would stop you from using that, I guess is the best way to say it. Whether, like I said, whether it's at the convention center for X amount of more years or it moves somewhere else, I don't know where that would be. I'm just saying it can't be anything that isn't at least as good as it is right now. And I don't think going back outside, maybe an unpopular opinion with some people, is as good as it could be.
It'll
I really
never.
don't.
It'll never go inside.
Yeah, I don't.
Can't. I just don't. I don't think you could ever withstand it.
My-
I couldn't.
My personal opinion is I think there's a lot of people, and not everybody, don't get me wrong. I'm not making any, claims for anybody, but I think there's a lot of people that participate in the outside portion that would go inside if they had the chance. That's
Well,
what
I also think. I think that's a long history of nonsense
what
between the string bands, the fancy brigades, this, that. I got to be honest with you. The string bands, I've really enjoyed the string bands. My grandmother loved the string bands. And, neither of my grandparents are with me anymore, but they loved the parade. Everything was about the parade in my household from the day I was born till now. You can't have a holiday. That's how you know you're in a moment.
Yeah.
I'm at a barbecue. My dad's telling me call the choreographer. I said, Dad, it's June 7th. Leave me alone. February 15th, my dad's telling me, oh yeah, we gotta go see Proof Productions. We gotta see what's going on. I gotta talk to them. Like that's stuff that's instilled in you.
Yeah.
That you can never change.
Mm-hmm.
Like here's a performance Cleveland. I think Rocco's a wonderful captain. I think he's one of the best performing captains on the street. But as far as like the club, we don't have 100 people. It's hard to compete without numbers. My father said this for years. If I open that ice house and 6 people come out, yeah, it's nice. If you open that ice house and 60 people come out, it looks better. Mm-hmm. It's just the way it is. It's not, it's not a knock or saying they're not good dancers. It just looks better.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I think you could have made 0 mistakes this year. Like you could have did everything as perfect. You could have spent $1 million and had the same amount of people that you had. But there's still going to be a factor of staging, right? Yes. And you can't get away from, a stage isn't as full or a stage. But I think a stage can be too full too. I think it could be overdone. People banging into each other. There's not enough room. I think there's. Yeah,
I think the Spartans did that the year they did Jungle or whatever.
It was too crowded.
I think there was nowhere to go. So I think that was really good. And I think the year they got 4th with the Romans, I think that was really good. I think if they would have did a little less, I think they would have got a better. I think they would have been up there like a 1 or a 2 maybe.
You think there's like a sweet spot number to have performer wise?
Yeah, like 70.
70?
70 would be my goal. But also it's how you use them. Like that's another thing I think the Vikings do better than everybody else. Like the one year they did Petey's last year when they did what was that? The sea thing?
Oh yeah. The under the sea thing. I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put all them people on the thing.
The riser thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Or when they did Jungle with Jumanji when Gerald was captain.
Yeah.
They put all the people on the top. Well, guess what? You're dressing all them people. They're all paying into the show, and the scenery is amazing. Putting a doll up there and putting a person are just way 2 different things.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I mean,
I think the attention to detail, like a lot of people say, oh, they won't see it. They can't see it. They see it. They see it. I argue with my dad with this all the time. They see it. They want to see it. Especially when you're dealing with very articulate people. They want to see the detail. They can see the detail.
I agree. If the prize wasn't there, like if the prize didn't match, you might have an argument against that. But as long as the prize is matching up with the people that are doing that, I think you're going to have a hard argument against that. I mean,
like here, bro. Look now, coming on is like the '80s.
Yeah.
Like the back pieces there were unbelievable. You don't see stuff like that no
No,
more.
but that was part of pageantry too. Like, okay? So, do you think back pieces do anything for clubs that may be smaller?
No,
because
it ties up. Like I want to do back pieces, but I have 35 people. If I put 8 people in a back piece, I lose them. They can only walk in the perimeter. You can't really move.
Right.
So now I lose 8 people. So now I only got 20-something people now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, it's like a catch-22.
Yeah.
I think they're for like middle to big size clubs. If you got 50 people, I think 40, 50 people, it really does something for you because it makes you look full on the outside.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a good way of thinking about it. I mean, because you might think it makes you look fuller, which it does, but it also, you're limited on what you can do.
What I do like is I like the small accents ones.
Oh, like a quarter piece,
like
or
the
something?
one PD wore Apocalypse 2010. It was a back piece, but it was real small.
Yeah,
but it
filled out.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
And the feathers came out like another 8 to 10 inches. So you could really see something in that.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. I think that's a good point to make. A lot of people don't think that way because I've heard that before. That's the reason I brought it up. Like, smaller clubs, they should be using back pieces. It'll fill out the show.
My dad wore one of the biggest back pieces ever in '99. It looked awful.
What theme was that?
Mexican.
Yeah, Mexican theme.
The back piece was so heavy he couldn't move. It had hats. It was a beautiful back piece.
Yeah.
On the rack, but once he put it on his head, he couldn't even move.
Right.
He was literally stuck. He was wobbling. He looked like he was going to fall over.
Right. So imagine putting something like that on 10 people in a club that has. And
my
30.
dad's like 6'3", 270, 260. So it's going to be if he can't wear one of that size, it's going to be hard to put it on a regular member that weighs $160. That's the other thing. Like people don't understand. Like size matters.
Sure. Yeah, it does.
Both ways. Like these girls. Like that's another thing. A lot of these clubs are predominantly women.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to put 8 back pieces on little girls? It's hard.
Yeah.
Who am I going to put in a back piece?
You can only make them so light. I mean, you can try to do what you can, but they're still going to have materials.
I'm a big fan this year and past years, like the capes. I like
sure
stuff like that. Like makes you look bigger, but it's not heavy.
Now, what do you think about position? Because we have the position pick night coming up September 30th at EOM. Do you put a lot of stock into that personally for your club?
I got to be honest with you, and I don't ever want to go last again.
Really? Now why? Because I think a lot of people would happily take last off of you.
I'm going to tell you why. Because as a smaller club, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really fair. The year I went last, I liked all the clubs I really want to go thank. Like they left marshals behind. They held buses up for me to push my stuff. Like I kind of felt like a burden to every club. Like, because now if you're 7th, everybody's still there.
Oh, okay.
When you're last, like even the year the Sats went last and won.
Yeah, Chinese. Yeah.
Bro, they had people from the Stars waiting. They're like, that's what I'm trying to say, bro. Like even these bigger clubs, they don't have 200 marshals.
Yeah.
The way that the way the floats are being progressed and the way everything's being built, you need a real amount of people. Like, I don't think these people that are watching these shows understand how many people are behind that curtain.
Sure.
How many people are pushing these floats? How many people are pulling? How many people are dropping something? How many people are switching a back piece with somebody? How many people are picking up glow sticks or a hand prop or a sword? Or you understand what I'm saying? So with all that being said, I like to be, I don't want to go up first. I don't want to go, like, I like to go up 7th, 8th.
Right in the middle.
6th. Yeah, I want to be in the middle.
Yeah,
but I also don't want to be like behind the Vikings. I don't want to be behind the Sats. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a curse. So, the Vikings come on and do that show, and then I come out with 35 people. They're like, But I also think that works against them too, because I really believe, nobody really wants to hear what I say, but I don't think the same judge should be allowed to judge 2 years in a row.
Okay. Because
I hear it on all the tapes, like my tapes, and I'm sure the Vikings have it. Like, oh, that wasn't as good as last year. Well, you're not judging last year's. Like this year, a lady made a comment. It was a positive comment, but it still shouldn't have been said. She says, oh, I really like this club. The captain, they're really trying hard. We watched them the last 2 years. Their shows are getting a little better. Well, okay, but what does that have, the year before and the year before that have nothing to do with this year?
Right.
And I think that works both ways. And I think it helps and hurts the bigger clubs. Like, if you're the Vikings this year now, you just came off a dynamite performance. You won hands down. The show was absolutely gorgeous. So now you're not competing with last year's show. You're competing with this year's performers. Mm-hmm. So why should they be credited or discredited according to last year. I think that's the problem with our judging system. I think that's the only problem we have. And the winners over the last 20 years, like, yeah, maybe 2 should have been 1 or 3 could have been, like, if that's what you think.
Sure.
Yeah, that's like I said, once again, that's an opinion. But they got the top 3 right.
Mm-hmm.
They got the top 3 right the last 20 years.
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. I mean, agree or disagree, you make points that's hard to argue with, you know, and I'll give you that. But listen, we can't come here tonight without mentioning you, because you mentioned way back at the start here, the Mummers tea. You and Jackie Hattie are kind of involved with that. We got a little tea right here. How did that get rolling? Because that really picked up last year during mum season, and we're getting into 2024 mum season.
Honest with you, I hope it picks up again. It was, well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone that got behind it, all the clubs, as well as the officers, and as well as all the people that bought it, and the people on the board at the Mummers Museum who now carry it and will be carrying it all the way through mum season.
That's awesome. And it's fitting to mention because Kiki Vodka is the sponsor of this show. So perfect to bring it up. And they're the official vodka that's mixed into the Mummers Row Philly tea. A lot of people ask, so maybe we'll get it right from the source here. Where else besides the Mummers Museum can you get it?
We have a Instagram page,
mm-hmm.
or you can DM me personally on Instagram or Facebook, and we will get it to you.
All right, sweet, cool. And you can pick it up, deliver it, whatever.
We'll deliver. No
nice.
problem.
Perfect.
We'll deliver with a smile.
There you go.
And I'd like to also give a shout out to a few bars that supported us from the beginning. O'Jung's, McDaniel's, as well as Moonshine, have all been behind us from day one, took it with no questions asked, put it right on their shelves for sale, and have carried it from the time we made the first can all the way to the present.
That's awesome. Was that the first time you were ever involved in a process like that? Like, I'm just curious, like, how did the ball get rolling on a Mummers?
I got to give a huge shout out to the guy that owns Kiki, John Jameson. He actually, I called stateside to do it first. They basically told me they don't need me and they don't really care about the Mummers in so many words. And then I called this Kiki and he says, listen, I'll do something. He goes, it's going to be wild. It's a process. And they got the cases out, and, we're moving. We got a lot of cases. As a matter of fact, they're in my garage. We got a few hundred. We're making money to support the cause. And
that's awesome.
Everybody don't understand the financial burden this puts on every club.
Sure. As
well as, personally, like, if you're on the board, bro, you don't want to be that guy that comes to the floor and says, you're $60,000 in debt, $70,000 in debt. So it's a way to try to relieve everything. And how many tickets can you ask somebody to buy?
Yeah.
Everybody drinks. We're not asking you to buy tickets. Come buy a couple cases of mum tea, drink it. We really like to get it going again. I really like people to start sharing it on social media, tag Kiki.
And it had a really good presence over the summer. People on the beach, down the shore, and stuff like that.
Really loved it.
It was really good.
Yeah, next year we're really trying. We finally got in Jersey, but it was a little too late. We're going to try to get in a bunch more markets, awesome. For next summer.
I've heard rumors, maybe I don't know, of different variations or different flavors potentially. Maybe
there's definitely potentially for other flavors. We're just trying to get this brand up. Once we get the brand up and it becomes a household name, we will be branching out for other flavors.
I love that, and proceeds of it, at least portion of it, goes to the association for the brigades. That's awesome.
Association and the clubs.
Love it. Well, Mike, listen, I appreciate it. You, again, like I said, this is the first one we recorded, and I don't think there was anybody better to sit down with. It was awesome. We had our audience, we had our mum tapes, we had our tea. It was perfect, dude, and beautiful house, man. This is awesome. I've never been here. It's the first time I've been here. This is awesome. I love it. I'm gonna stay afterward. We're gonna have to dinner.
Sure.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.